Good afternoon. My name is Ed Kuiper, Systems Architect with Nutanix. Today I'm going to provide a demo of backing up virtual machines running on AHV on a Nutanix cluster to an S3 bucket up in AWS. From there, we will restore the virtual machines from the S3 bucket to a Nutanix cluster running on bare metal in AWS. And we call that solution Nutanix clusters. I'm excited to share this with you because I think this may be the first demo of us actually doing this, and it's a solution that I like to call disaster recovery on demand. What we're doing here is we're building out a Nutanix cluster in AWS, and we can then hibernate that cluster so that we're not paying for the utilization of the cluster, but we're paying for the storage only. Our production on-prem cluster will then back up normally, and then it'll also have an S3 target for archive. Or you can back up to S3 and on-prem at the same time. And we're going to use Haiku to demonstrate this. What we want to do now is go into Haiku, right? Because we have our VMs built. Haiku's already been deployed. So I will log into Haiku. And once I log into Haiku, there's a couple things I'm going to need to do. First, let's go to virtual machines. So Haiku is using our APIs to populate this information. So everything Haiku is doing uses Nutanix APIs. So it's a very seamless operation. It's very integrated. The next thing I am going to want to do is assign a policy for these VMs. But before I do that, I'm going to want to create a policy, and I'm also going to want to create a target, right? Because the policy is going to ask, where do you want to back this up? So let's start with the target, and here's where we're going to add that S3 bucket. So just to keep everything standardized, we'll use the same naming convention. So this is an S3 bucket, right? And we're going to save that, and we are creating that target. If I click on the jobs, you'll see that's creating right now. So we'll let that finish. As that's creating, if I come back to policies, you'll see we have some default policies of gold, silver, bronze. What I'm going to do for the sake of this is add a new policy. And for this policy, we'll just call it S3 bucket. And then the target will be that bucket that we created. All right, so that's that S3 bucket. And we're going to save that. All right, and you'll see that falls in line down below. Now we can go up to our virtual machines, and I can choose the VMs that were deployed through Calm, through automation, and I can apply them to the S3 bucket policy. And as soon as I do that, you'll see that they're going to start to back up. So what we can do is move forward from here while we're waiting on the other two. What we'll do first is go into the cluster that lives in AWS. I've already had that deployed. In a normal environment, we'd have it deployed and then hibernated and just waiting until you needed it. If I come under VMs, you'll notice that I have two VMs. I have my Haiku VM, which is pre-configured and ready to go. And then I have a test VM. So let's log into Haiku. And as I log into Haiku, you'll see pre-configured, meaning that it is up and running, but I don't have any policies applied. In fact, I don't have any policies besides the default, and I do not have a target. So let's create the target. What we're going to do here is import a target, right? And that target is going to be from AWS, and we're going to give it that same bucket name, right? Because it's going to go look at AWS and say, what bucket do you want to import? So I'm going to choose that bucket name, and we're going to hit next. Great. And then what's happening is it's asking you a backup controller to import, right? And because we only did the one, we only kicked off that one, that's all we have here. So I'll select it and I can hit next. And then it's going to ask again for that secret access key, which I will paste back in. And I'm going to choose import. We'll wait a couple minutes. There we go. It's finished. So let's go back up to virtual machines. And now you'll see two VMs. Now, those two VMs are the VMs that were finished backing up over here. right? So HA proxy and MySQL. The other two are still backing up, so we're just kind of skipping ahead a little bit for the sake of time. But if I take the HA proxy, I can select it, and then I can choose Restore VM. And it's going to allow me to choose which network I want to tie this VM to. So I only have one network sitting out here in AWS, so I'll choose that, and I'm going to choose Restore. And once I choose Restore, if I go into Jobs, you'll see that'll start to kick off. There, it's done. So let's just skip ahead here, and let's go over to Prism. In AWS, you'll see there is that load balancer, and I can come in here and I can power it on, and we'll let that power up. Let's choose the MySQL VM now, and we're going to restore, clone that VM. We'll choose the network, save that, hit restore, and we'll let that restore. So now what we've done is we've restored the VMs that were over here into AWS. And if I choose the home screen here, you'll see that this cluster is running in AWS. It's a single node. If I go into Haiku, that's running on this instance, you'll see now if I refresh these virtual machines, you'll see the two clones that now I can apply those to their own policies to start backing up and replicating out for when I'm ready to fail back over. So that was a demo of Nutanix and Haiku together using AHV, backing virtual machines up to an S3 bucket, and then restoring those virtual machines onto bare metal in AWS running Nutanix. So I hope you found this valuable. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My email is edward@nutanix.com. I have a blog, nutanixed.com. Feel free to check it out, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.